Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Richardson with NIM 21030500001, and today we are going to discuss about the journal, and the title of the journal is The Challenges and the Strategies in Teaching TOEFL and IELTS Test Preparation. Without wasting the time, let me begin. This study was conducted to find out the teacher challenges in teaching a TOEFL and IELTS test. Now, and teacher strategies in motivating students. The student study was conducted in an English educational institution in Pekanbaru. Now, the participants were 10 teachers who had taught this test preparation for more than 2 years. The method used was a qualitative approach with face-to-face interview as the data collection instrument. The results showed that the challenges of teacher in teaching TOEFL and IELTS were student height expectation, lack of effort from the student, time limitation, teacher experience issue with high school student, and the last is number of students in class. It was also found that the teacher strategies in motivating the student were student awareness of the opportunity of passing the test, fun learning, telling story of people who are successful, and reminding the student. In conclusion, teacher faced some challenges in teaching IELTS and TOEFL tests, and they also have strategies to overcome them. The first table of content that we are going to discuss is about introduction, the second is method, and the last is finding and discussion. The first is introduction. Let me begin. Now, TOEFL, or we can call it Test of English as a Foreign Language Institutional TOEFL Prediction, and IELTS, International English Language Testing System, are English proficiency tests which measure the skill and ability of non-native English speaker. Now, in Indonesia, these tests are required in some institutions such as university, government, institution, or international companies. Now, they become entry requirement in some university because English is the main language spoken throughout the in teaching, and textbook used during the study are in English. And those universities count as the best of the most prestigious university in Indonesia as well as in the world. Now, according to Nurhayati and Giri, TOEFL and IELTS have now become the trend in the academic world, and they have also begun the requirement for admission and graduation of university. Arfani also agreed that TOEFL and IELTS are most used in academic setting. They are taken by researchers, teachers, students, and higher educational and employees. The University of Al Azhar Indonesia is an example. Now, the university students are not allowed to graduate unless they have reached 450 of TOEFL PBT. Now, paper-based tests. Not only that, the tests are also required to apply for scholarship for students who want to continue their study in either Indonesia or abroad. Despite their use as a requirement for university entry and scholarship, TOEFL and IELTS are viewed as the factor of international recognition rather than an assessment of one ability in communication. It's because the non-native English speaker find it quite difficult to comprehend the discourse and written text in both the TOEFL and IELTS tests. In TOEFL and IELTS tests, the skill tests are listening, reading, speaking, and writing. TOEFL IT or internet-based test is done in 2 hours and IELTS must be finished within 2 hours and 45 minutes. In consequences, it needs time management to finish the test. That situation could create anxiety in the student or test taker when dealing with the problem of the TOEFL and IELTS test. This is the reason why some education institutions in Pekanbaru create a TOEFL and IELTS preparation course in order for the student to have opportunity to achieve the desired scores, reduce their anxiety, and improve the motivation of confidence whatever their level of English proficiency. Therefore, a successful test preparation is needed to improve the learner English language proficiency tasks. While teaching the student, teacher found that there are many challenges they have to face. Teacher must understand the process. Not only that, they have to to create a fun and creative learning to motivate the student. According to Harriet, example of challenges for teacher is the student number. For the reason it is can cause a lack of motivation of teacher in teaching, and the same thing may also affect the motivation of teacher in teaching test preparation. Due to that problem mentioned above, this state the researcher aimed to investigate the issue related to the teacher in teaching TOEFL and IELTS test preparation. What issue raised the following research question? Number one is what challenges do the teacher face in teaching English proficiency test preparation? And the last is what strategies do the teacher use to motivate students in the teaching and learning process? Our second topic is method. The first is qualitative approach. Now, this study employed a qualitative method of research in order to answer the researcher question to the method helped by finding all of the truth or perspective of the academic staff, leader, and outside client as a portrayal as the process is a situation. They can be involved as an individual to share their experience and view for the particular life situation. Moreover, the participant is free to specify what is relevant to them. In qualitative research, the respondent can be chosen precisely so the researcher can collect the data based on what they need to figure out. The purpose of undertaking a qualitative study is to be concerned with the understanding of the social appearance from the teacher point of view through their experience in relationship to that, the researcher can obtain the perspective of teacher in teaching TOEFL and IELTS test preparation. Face-to-face interview regarding the accessibility of the participant is in this study. The researcher employed this face-to-face interview. In preparing to interview, the researcher designed an interview schedule as it commonly called a good interview guide will build the trust of the participant so that they will be comfortable in following the interview process. Since qualitative research focuses on the response of the participant, it is important to record the interview completely. The benefit of using a recording in collection the data is that the researcher can happy to copy of the obtained data. The audio recorder can be taken to the location where the researcher wants to hold the interview. The next step after recording the interview is converting the data into transcription. Transcribing recorded data is a time-consuming activity since a 1 hour interview can take a 5 or 6 hours to transcribe. Nevertheless, it is studied the researcher used an audio recorder to collect the data and transcribe them as they were to the convenient way to obtain the finding. Participant. The researcher employed a purposive sampling in choosing the participant in this research. Now, purposive sampling is an approach to select sample on the basis of knowledge of a population, its element, and the objective of the study. The proposed participant of the study were TOEFL and IELTS teacher who worked in a private educational institution with specialized in TOEFL and IELTS English course. The participants were Indonesian with Bahasa Indonesia as their first language and who had been teaching TOEFL and IELTS for more than 2 years. The teacher who worked for this amount of time were believed to have enough experience to give a response on the issue. In the following table, the profile of the proposed participant whose name were pseudonyms that are given, as you can see on the table. Ethics. Now, in a study, the researcher participant have the right to be informed about the research and the withdraw at any time. Informed consent also required by the researchers while will not harm to participant not to reveal their identity to avoid harm to participant. In collecting data, a researcher can use anonymization, which means that the name of the participant will not be mentioned in the study. Another way to prevent the participant name being mentioned is to use pseudonym. A pseudonym is a fictional name given to replace the name of people, place, or organization to secure confidentiality. And researchers routinely use pseudonym in order to broach sensitive topic. There were 10 teachers required in this research, and the approach used in securing a consent form from the teacher of the Indonesian institution was by giving in touch with the director and asking permission to conduct the researcher there before getting in touch with the teacher and asking for the consent to be interviewed. The names of the teacher were pseudonymous and many personal data of the institution and the teachers was secured in electronic form by using a password. Data analyzed. After the data was turned into transcription, the researcher used a software called Navivo. Navivo is a piece of computer software commonly used in analyzing qualitative data. Any form of qualitative data, such as a transcript, picture, or maybe video and audio material, can be extended to Navivo. Nevertheless, there was a time that the researcher used manual analysis in terms of the complexity of using the tool in the completing the task. Also, a researcher should know the value of using manual analytic tools in analyzing qualitative data. However, manual analysis is still considered to be slow and time consuming. The last topic, number three, is finding and discussion. Let me begin. In the interview, all participants share their perception, point of view, feeling, option, experience about teaching TOEFL and IELTS. The objective of qualitative study is to focus on the teacher perspective through their experience in order to get a deeper understanding about the social situation. There were certain opposing views, but they were not significant since the participants were in the same field, so that the information they gave was similar. Additionally, some new phenomena were found during the process of data collection. Thus, this introduced this phenomena and discusses then the challenges teacher in teaching TOEFL and IELTS versus first student high expectation. Based on this information given by the participant, most of them agree that student high expectation were one of the main challenges they faced during their teaching experience. Moreover, since the expectation of the student was followed by a lack of understanding of the English language, the teachers become very stressed. Number two, student lack of effort. The student challenges that the teacher faced was that teacher with high expectation were students who made no effort. They, especially high school students, took the preparation class just to get the English proficiency test certificate instantly. To confirm that, the teacher were interviewed about the attitude of the high school student and adults in the test preparation class, and the answer was the student indeed to get the certificate of the English proficiency test. Otherwise, they will not get their dream job and will not be admitted to their dream university. Number three is study time limitation. Now, the limit time for the test preparation also caused problems. In the test preparation, most students came at the last minute to the test preparation class and they needed to improve their target score within the 2 weeks. 4. Teacher experience. Now, the next problem is the experience of the teacher in teaching TOEFL and IELTS. Some of them admit that they still have anxiety and lack of confidence in teaching TOEFL and IELTS, even though they have taught them for more than 2 years and had qualification to teach. The reason is the youngsters are getting smarter while the teacher were still guided by the book. Therefore, they needed to update their knowledge so that they could overcome their anxiety while teaching. Number five, high school student issue. The other problem is when the students were high school students, most of the teacher complained that high school students were noisy, not obedient, and always distracted by their mobile phone. And the last is the number of students in the class. Now, the last problem is the number of students in the class. A large number of students, it will not be effective when delivering the TOEFL and IELTS test material. A large number of students in a classroom could be effective in time and money, but not in attendance, discipline, learning, and alienation of specific learners. The strategies of teacher in motivating the student task preparation. Number one, student awareness. TOEFL and IELTS being gained to meet the requirement of university admission and scholarship. It means that TOEFL and IELTS are important for those who need one of them, job opportunities and good universities, both local and abroad. Promise reward for the people who want to reach them. That was one of the motivation that the teacher gave to the student in the teaching and learning activity. The teacher had a similar fundamental understanding that the student needs TOEFL and IELTS for that reason. Number two, fun learning. For another strategy to motivate the student to study, playing games after the student have finished studying with the test preparation. Now, he said uh, that for example, he said that he needed to make teaching and learning process interesting. It means that to motivate the student in order to study, the teacher need to create game, fun activity, and intermezzo in the classroom to overcome the boredom, monotony, and seriousness of the teaching and learning process. Number three, telling successful people's story. Another way to motivate the student, according to the teacher, was telling of the people who gave their target score and what they did afterwards. Some teacher believe that this strategy could motivate the student in studying TOEFL and IELTS. They told his stories based on their own experience or the experience of their friend and their student who have successfully achieved their target score to enter their dream job or university. The teacher used a similar strategy as it could raise the willingness of the student, especially high school students, to study. The last is reminding students. The next strategy to motivate the student was by reminding them why they joined the class. Since the test preparation class required much money, to remind them of such a thing was useful to increase the motivation of the student. One of the challenges that the student have in studying TOEFL and IELTS is investing much energy, time, and money in it. Now, in it relation to that, the student should keep on track from what is mentioned above. In a nutshell, asking the student in the beginning about their target where and what they intended to do with the score of TOEFL and IELTS will boost their motivation in studying for those tests. In conclusion, there were several challenges that the teacher encountered while teaching the high stake English proficiency test preparation. However, most teachers agreed that the student expectation to gain their target score was the biggest challenge of all, since that was the objective of the student in studying for the test preparation. It was also found that there were some strategies that teacher used to by in raising the motivation of the student in studying the test preparation. The participant in this study gave their option and perspective on the issue regarding the challenges and the challenges in teaching the test preparation. Overall, the findings showed that this issue in the challenges and strategies of the teachers are clearly important concern in the education world. Challenges encountered by teacher might affect feeling and frustration too. The teacher had a strong motivation in teaching. Alright, I think that's all for my video. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and I'm very sorry if my video is not good and I have some mistake in my video. I'm very sorry, and thank you very much for your kind attention. Wabillahi taufiq walhidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.